All right, everyone, can we give Randy a standing ovation, round of applause, please? Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Randy. Absolutely. That was fantastic. Okay. Next up, I don't have my reading glasses. So we are going to hear a success story from Amanda Jones with Johns Creek Art Center. Where is she? Yep.
Hi, everybody. Here we go. Woo. How do you advance this? Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. So I wanted to start by reading an excerpt from a very long, very beautiful, crowdsourced poem that was written by many, many poets during the pandemic, and it was read in its entirety on NPR. In fact, you can look it up and read the whole thing if you like, but this particular section really spoke to me. So rise, my friends, rise up, all one heart. Be the change, and when you wonder how you will likely spend your life with the time left to borrow, know that to fight is to be human, for time short or longer, for through the struggle, we may hope to become stronger. These were the sentiments felt by so many of us during the pandemic. At the time, I was a full-time instructor at the Johns Creek Art Center, but like you, I was home. There was no class of laughing, smiling youth to teach, no projects inspired by Jean-Michel Basquiat, Frida Kahlo, or Alma Thomas. Our thoughts turned to the children. Were they scared? Did they know that we were? I saw the stress upon the faces of my children's teachers as they sprang into action, learning to navigate online learning like explorers in a new world. I saw similarly pained lines on my own face when I looked into the mirror. My ex-husband and I shared the same hushed conversations that all adults were having at that time. The new world was fraught with fear over COVID, deepening poverty, rising inequalities, structural and entrenched discrimination, and other gaps in human rights protection. People were dying. Mental health, substance abuse, and domestic violence cases rose to historic levels. We watched social media and the news, and it seemed that the very world was on fire. The anxiety in the air was palpable, and people were desperate for relief. Back at the Johns Creek Art Center, our executive director, Stephanie Donaldson, had her hands full. having only recently taken over the position after having served as our deputy director. Now there were 20 contracted instructors with families who were out of work due to the pandemic, and she worked hard to try to obtain funding to help support us. She and our program director and curator, Althea Foster, brainstormed ways to try to remain engaged with our patrons, students, the community at large, and above all, the children. Humans have an innate need to express themselves creatively. Art inspires, it enriches lives, it brings people together. It's good for the soul. Stephanie and Althea knew that if ever there was a time for artistic expression, it was then. Existing funds were diverted for use to support the Arts Center, and new grants were immediately written. We were blessed to receive funding from Georgia Council for the Arts, Fulton County Arts and Culture, as well as federal funding dispersed through the city of Johns Creek. It was because of this funding that we were able to continue. Sorry, am I pointing it? There we go. Okay. Meanwhile, we immediately expanded our social media presence. As instructors, several of us took to our cameras on our phones and recording art lessons to share at no cost with anyone who had access to YouTube or social media. We recorded ourselves reading children's storybooks, followed by a short art lesson based on the book, which children could make at home using whatever materials they had on hand. We live streamed classes for older youth and adults on Teams and Zoom so that instructors could continue to work with their students. For those of us who were making art at home, we documented and shared our processes and answered questions about the work. Rather than cancel our exhibitions, we simply moved the gallery online to our website. Artists were delighted to be able to continue to participate. Judges viewed works virtually, and awards were sent to winning artists. We stayed in regular contact with our subscribers, outreach partners, students, and members via social media and through weekly e-blasts on MailChimp. Funding from Georgia Council for the Arts allowed us to continue our outreach initiative and bring art to over 800 children during the pandemic. We held drive-up days, which continued well into 2021, where families arrived in cars and were met curbside by Johns Creek Arts Center staff and board members. To each child, we gave a Go Arts Go bag containing an engaging art lesson based on a cultural holiday, complete with all the necessary art supplies and even educational materials and souvenirs representative of the holiday being taught. We held drive-up days for celebrations relative to the cultural makeup of our community, including Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, Lunar New Year, Earth Day, Juneteenth, Independence Day, Eid, Dia de los Muertos, Diwali, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and Christmas. Our program included distribution of Go Arts bags to our outreach partners who serve at-risk youth at both Star House and Drake House. Providing access to take-home art supplies and expert instruction helped bridge the accessibility gap that was widened by COVID for these children. Here you can see them with the bags. The Johns Creek Arts Center offered abbreviated summer camps with reduced number of students and hours, required personal protective equipment, enhanced cleaning, and social distancing. For obvious health reasons, each student had their own supplies, which they were able to take home with them at the conclusion of their week at camp. We devised ways of the children playing together but apart so that it wasn't so isolating. We played games like Pictionary, and during outside time, each student had their own bottle of bubbles, sidewalk chalk, and we played charades. We safely held camp for over 300 youth during the 2020 season without a single incidence of COVID-19. I remember looking at the mask-covered faces of my campers from behind my own masked face and watching the fear leave their eyes as we settled into our daily activities. They needed diversion. They needed something to do that was familiar. They needed to express what they were feeling, to use their creativity, to transport themselves someplace magical. They needed to be children again. And that's what they did. What we at the Johns Creek Arts Center experienced during the pandemic inspired us to grow like never before. As we gradually returned to regular in-person classes and camps, youth students and their parents, adult students and members, and community outreach partners shared with us that they don't know how they would have coped had it not been for the opportunities we were able to offer due to the pandemic. And those expressions continue today. In fact, we hear from people regularly that the Johns Creek Arts Center is a sanctuary for people to come to, a home away from home, their therapy, a creative escape, and a supportive environment where all people are welcome and accepted as they are. Feedback like this is how we know we are truly serving our community. It drives us to expand our programs, to grow our ability to serve more people, and to find new ways to give voices to the historically marginalized members of our community, expanding on our mission over the last 28 years. The pandemic was a time of great uncertainty, but the spirit of perseverance, the inspiration, I skipped something. Johns Creek Arts Center now offers adaptive art classes. Last year, we began holding roundtables with members of the community to identify ways to ensure art experiences are equitable. Our center brings outreach to at-risk youth, including people of color, and to area Title I schools, where students speak English as a second language. Taking care to pair students with instructors and art lessons based on famous artists they can relate to culturally. Johns Creek Arts Center offers as a creative outlet for homeless LGBTQIA+ young adults ages 16 to 25, while working on projects that are useful to someone who is homeless, such as designing and personalizing a bag for belongings. We provide bi-weekly painting classes to local senior citizens, offer after-school art at 8 elementary schools, hold several free library workshops per year, and we are the premier partner in Georgia with Art Pharmacy, which through doctors prescribe art classes for mental wellness. All outreach programs are given at no charge. Our board of directors reflects the diverse cultural makeup of our area. Our instructors come from all over the world and speak a variety of languages. Our new website will feature AI technology that will translate our page into any language so that it can be accessible by anyone who wishes to view it. In the last 2 years, Johns Creek Arts Center has added additional measures to ensure the quality and accessibility of our programming, as well as environmental, social, and governance standards. In terms of programming, we are the second largest art center in Georgia. Each year, we conduct more than 225 8-week visual and clay art classes for youth and adults taught by 25 instructors. We offer an extensive summer camp session with over 70 one-week art camps for youth attended by over 1,000 campers and with a wait list of 430 students. We offer scholarships to any student who cannot afford to attend our programming, and we rely on a pool of over 100 volunteers from AP art classes from local high schools, National Beta Society, members of our Arts Guild, and our board of directors to assist instructors in classes, at camps, work in exhibitions, and help during multiple festivals where we typically see at least 1,500 children at our tent each time. Last year, we served over 11,000 people. We've been recognized by the Georgia Senate, House of Representatives, Fulton County, and the City of Johns Creek for our commitment to the community, and we are one of 4 legacy partners with Fulton County. The pandemic was a time of great uncertainty, but the spirit of perseverance, the inspiration which was born from the many struggles which ensued during that time, and the generous financial support we received during the pandemic for Georgia Council for the Arts, Fulton County Arts and Culture, and the government grant, propelled the Johns Creek Arts Center forward with a burning momentum, innovative ideas, and gratitude for those we meet each day. And that spirit endures in us, like in the excerpt from the poem. So rise, my friends, rise up, all one heart. Be the change. And when you wonder how you will likely spend your life with that time left to borrow, know that to fight is to be human, for time short or longer, for through the struggle, we may hope to become stronger. Thank you.